Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we discuss my thoughts on episode 7 of the anime series, DanMachi Gaiden, Sword Oratoria, and the game is thoroughly afoot. Not as if it hasn't already been for a time anyway, but the investigations are really coming to a head with monsters run amok on floor 24 of the dungeon near the pantries, where they're closed off for all intents and purposes by what looks like these giant eggs, of these plant creatures, perchance, that the tamer, whose name we finally learn in this episode is Revis, has apparently been using willy-nilly, and she's creating more problems for whatever efforts, with whomever she's working with in tandem. It's just creating more problems because it's gaining the attention of Hermes, Familia, and Loki Familia, and Dionysus, and all this stuff. And so, of course, you have Dionysus going to Loki and saying, would you care to investigate this, check on this, see what exactly is going on floor 24? Loki doesn't want anything to do with it until Lafia brings in a message from Eyes saying that she is, in fact, she's been given this mission statement by Fells, who we find out, the guy who's working in tandem with Uranus. Fells apparently set her up to go in and investigate for all intents and purposes, just to save face with Loki, and so Loki's ire is raised. She basically tells Lafia to get Bete ready, and Bete and Lafia, along with Philvis. Dionysus says, his right-hand woman should go along as well, and hopefully this will garner some earning of trust between Loki and he and everything like that. And Philvis is one of these mysterious characters. She really stood out to me in this episode as being just enigmatic and really compelling, because she's, for the most part, very silent. She begrudgingly agrees to go into the dungeons with Bete and Lafia respectively, but she's having no part of actually being part of their party at all. She's kind of operating singularly for the purposes of Dionysus, and it just so happens, I have to be stuck with these two, at the same time. But we hear hints and whispers of she lost all of her familia old, or something like that. She lost a lot of people. There was a nightmare, air quotes, that occurred on a lower level in the dungeons that she was the only survivor of. And so now she carries around this pseudo-curse that anytime she goes to battle, anytime she goes, if she has a party with her, that kind of thing, into the dungeons, nobody but she comes back alive. And now, is this something that's happened multiple times, and that's why she's garnered this reputation? Or is it something singular? Is it just she was the sole survivor of a particularly nasty affair, and now, the rumors and the grapevine have created this outstanding ridiculousness of a, reputation that nobody who travels with her will survive, will come back alive, that kind of thing. It remains to be seen, but she is definitely wholeheartedly scarred, even from Bete's trying to grab her shoulder when she's not listening to his plotting out of how exactly they're going to proceed when they're looking for Eyes. That's the whole purpose of them going down there to begin with, to catch up with Eyes and be, part and parcel with whatever investigative quest she is going on. And for somebody so badass, to see how skittish she is, I mean, she's thoroughly a badass. To match something like Eyes' level, where we see, they come under the attack of these wolves who shoot out of the walls of this one particular tunnel they're following through. And, of course, before even batting an eye, Bete's 3 feet ahead of them, just looking back, watching this. Lafia's behind her, and just shocked and awed that, Philvis, in a matter of seconds, just happens to destroy every single wolf like it was nothing, like they were never there to begin with. And Lafia, for her part, is trying to, she's awestruck by this. She's trying to get to know Philvis, trying to befriend her and everything like that, and hoping to boost her own skills from another elf who is very powerful. And it's falling flat. I think a lot of that has to do with Philvis's own losses that she's accrued, whether it was a one-time event nightmare that happened to her where she was the sole survivor, or it's something that has been repetitive in her life, again remains to be seen, but it has left a lasting toll on her where she cannot be trusting to anyone. She cannot allow herself to grow closer to anyone. And to me, that in the entire episode was the most compelling aspect, even more so than the actual mystery to do with Revis, this red-haired tamer woman, and the plant creatures, and why the monsters on floor 24 had run amok. And it just turned out their passage to their food was blocked and everything. But you basically see this all coincide with them figuring out where Eyes has gone. They don't catch up with her right away, but Eyes has been working with Hetemis Familia, and I absolutely am mind blown that we get to see Aspie again from the first season, as well as Hetemis himself, which I once compared to looking like the cowboy guy from Cowboy Bebop toward the end of the season of Cowboy Bebop, whose name escapes me, but the whistling cowboy who's giving Spike a run for his money as being, basically a bounty hunter, or a cowboy, as it were, in that series. But, being able to see these characters from the first season again and see how intertwined they are. Hetemis goes to Dionysus and he's like, let's have a couple drinks. Let's talk about what we know. Mix and match our information, because something is weird that's going on, and they're all the gods are concerned. Loki's concerned, Hetemis is concerned, Dionysus is concerned. With the exception of Uranus and his partner, Fells, whoever Fells happens to actually be. It almost led me to wonder if Lelune was Fells or something like that. Or Lelune was just playing dumb, because as we see, when Eyes finally, meets up with Hetemis Familia, she's reintroduced to Aspie. She already knew Aspie either by reputation or had, run into her before, but she recognized her, whatever the case. And Lelune is just loose lips sink ships, Like every other word coming out of her mouth, she's letting something spill. And this is apparently why she was so easily blackmailed by Fells to begin with, because they're very much concerned with anyone becoming aware of how far down in the dungeon they've gone, all of their levels and their power levels and everything like that. And she just blatantly blares this out to Eyes, and Aspie's constantly reprimanding her to shut her mouth and everything like that. And I just had to wonder if Lelune might be playing, like it might be an act. She might be playing a role of being this stupid, being this loose lips, sink ships way of carrying herself. And it would not surprise me at all if she turns face by the end of the series and she's been working with Uranus, or she is Fells, or something like that, where it's all been an act. It's all been to persuade people to her affability, and she can sucker them in that way, that kind of thing. And I really don't know. It seems like Fells was working a little more independently from Uranus in this episode as well. Going to Eyes and charging her with this mission to floor 24 to find out what was going on with the monsters, having blackmailed Hetemis Familia and all this stuff. It seems like Uranus was not all that happy with Fells doing this, but whatever the case, it effectively got Eyes working in tandem with Hetemis Familia until, of course, this unknown party who is working with Revis, the red-haired tamer woman, who recognizes, Eyes as being Arya, whom I'm told is actually Eyes' mother, which I actually speculated wrongly, incorrectly, that it was probably Eyes' sister. Somebody gave me the heads up that no, it is in fact Eyes' mother, Arya, and she might have been lost in the dungeons or something along those lines. Perhaps even coinciding with, whatever this nightmare was that befell Filvis's crew. It would be interesting if they sort of aligned that way, because Filvis is very much Eyes-esque as far as being so badass, being so quiet, monotone and monosyllabic and everything. And so it's curious to me that they kind of walked right into this trap. It was an impromptu trap. It was one that they set up just on the spur of the moment when they realized the Hetemis Familia and Eyes were there to find out what was going on. And apparently this is where Revis and her unknown party that she's working with is hiding. They're hiding seemingly in the tunnels behind that giant, a stash of plant creature eggs or whatever it is, that giant green mass that has closed this area off to the monsters seeking their food. And when they see that she's there, Revis is like, just make sure you split Eyes away from Hetemis Familia. I want at her, and so we leave this episode off with this pitched, cliffhanging battle about to unfold between Eyes and this Revis, this tamer woman. And I can't wait to see what ensues with that. We get hints of it in the OP and everything like that, but it promises to be spectacular, especially with the fact, and Aspie pointed this out, when Eyes and Miss Familia, they all encounter the roving monsters, and they see how it's all a pile up because they can't get to where they're supposed to be, getting their food in the pantry. Eyes goes down, and apparently she's formatting after having gotten her level up to level 6. Apparently there's a time where things can be a little off, and so she decides to utilize this particular, circumstance by jumping down into this little pit and wreaking havoc, just killing every monster singularly by herself. But all of this allows her to realign her leveling and her, actions, whatever she can do in battle, all of these things, commanding magic and everything. It gets it all streamlined all over again. But again, as we see, she just nukes that floor. So Aspie points out, oh, I had heard you were level 5. You must have leveled up recently. And so with Aiza's having leveled up, is she going to be that much more a toe-to-toe contender as we once saw Finn was? He was able to hold his own. The sort of master just under Loki herself of Loki Familia. He was able to hold toe-to-toe with Revis, this female tamer, previously, and now my question is, will Eyes have gotten to a level that is well and truly fitted to take her down, or at least to hold her own against her? And so that's really why I'm so excited to see what the next step of this is from the battle that is yet to ensue between Eyes and Revis this Tamer, to who is behind this? Who is this unknown figure that Revis has been hiding out with and shacking up with and talking to, that's warning her about, having created a mess by backing up these monsters on floor 24 in the pantry that has called everyone's attention to it. Is it something to do with Uranus? Is it something to do with Fels? Who is Fels really? And is, there is suspicion between the gods who are actually investigating this. Loki doesn't for one minute trust Dionysus's innocence. Neither does Dionysus trust Hermes's innocence and everything like that. So they're all coming together, trying to figure this out. And I hope it is a grand revelation as we get to the end of this series. I hope to be gobsmacked by, when everything finally is revealed, what it is, who it is, why it has all been, conducted as such. Imagine if it turns out to be Arya, Eyes' mother, like a corrupted soul that she then has to battle and save, or something like that. Imagine how mind-blowing it could get. I'm stoked to see where it's going to go. And so, that's pretty much all I have to say about this particular episode. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of it yourselves, if you've seen it as well. Episode 7, DanMachi Gaiden, Sword Oratoria. I thought it was a thorough blast and highly intriguing. For nothing else than the character of Phyllis, learning more about her, and here is a background character that suddenly in one episode, the entire, your entire opinion of her completely shifts to intrigue and being compelled to learn more because she has such a tragic past. And I wonder if it does, as I say, coincide with Eyes' own. But yeah, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.